Hello, students. You are watching yours and my channel. Before we start, please do like, share, and subscribe my channel. We are going to take up another poem in our ICSE syllabus of 24-25. The name of the poem is When Great Trees Fall, written by Maya Angelou. Now, before we start with the poem, we need to know a little bit about the background of the poem as well as the writer. So let's start with this. Maya Angelou, she was a poet, memoirist, author, activist, scholar, and she is best known for her unique and pioneering autobiographical writing style. She inspires us with both the beauty and the call to action of her words. Her famous poem, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. This is an autobiographical poem of her childhood days. We usually find that in the poems of Maya Angelou, we get the concept of love, loss, loneliness, and experiences with the racism, the racial discrimination. That was very clearly evident in the poem I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And they are really very appealing and touching for all of us. The poem When Great Trees Fall is emotional as it raises a similarity between the nature and the human beings. The poet equates, or rather says, that great trees, or the poet bears a similarity. Let us make it more simple. Bears a similarity between the great trees to that of great men, and wants to say that the loss of great men from the earth is very important, just like the destruction of an old tree, which disturbs the equilibrium in the forest. The poem ends on a positive and comforting note that one can console oneself that once such great men existed around them. So he will draw the inspiration or the encouragement from that person who once lived on this earth. We can get the inspiration from their lives and aim to be great and noble like them. Let's come to the theme of the poem. The poem brings into light the inevitable feeling of sadness, which is related with the loss of the great men on earth. Gradually, we overcome the loss and recover, just like nature recovers from the loss of the great trees. Because we all know that time is the best healer. A positive outlook and an aim towards a better persona can be set as a target which are inspired by such great losses. Right? Now let us come to the stanza-wise explanation, which will make it much more easy to understand and make our conceptions clear. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. The poet says that in the forest, when big trees they fall down, the earth shudders, trembles, which causes the huge rocks also to shudder. This makes the lions and the elephants scared and afraid, which are considered the most fearless animals. They do feel afraid of it. The lions hide behind the tall grasses, and the elephants they move to a safer zone because the shivering indicates that a dangerous calamity or natural catastrophe is approaching near them. Come to the second stanza. When great trees fall in forest, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. The poetess says that when great trees fall in the forest, the smaller animals and the insects, they are terribly afraid. They stop moving and they just remain quiet and silent and stand still. Their powers of sight, hear, etc., they all stop working due to intense fear, as if all their sense organs they are becoming inactive. Okay, due to tremendous fear, they just remain quiet in one particular place and their sense organs as if they stop functioning. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly, our eyes briefly, see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory suddenly sharpened, examines, knows unkind words, unsaid, promised walks never taken. The poet says in this stanza, she talks of the great men who die. The people who are left behind, they are extremely sad at the loss of such great men. They feel that the air is polluted because they are not able to breathe, because the heart is very heavy with the loss of the lives of such great men. They take small breath and can hardly see because all the senses they do not work due to intense pain. Pain for what? Pain for the loss of such great lives. The eyes realize the pain of losing a loved one, and this causes a lot of hurt. We are reminded of the kindness of those great men who never spoke to them, but their actions indicated their kind heart. We are reminded of the promises we had made, perhaps, of going for a walk which could not be fulfilled because they have left us forever. They will never come back. Great souls die, and our reality bound to them takes the leave of us, our souls dependent upon their nurture. Now shrink, wizened, our minds formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of the dark, cold caves. The poet says that when such great souls leave us, the part of our life which was related to them or attached to them, they also come to an end. Our soul which got their care also gets shrunk due to the loss of their lives, as if there is a vacuum created in our life. Our mind, which was made up of their shining qualities, also starts to fall apart. It's not that we are angry, okay, that they have left us, but it is much more than mere anger. The poet says that it is like we are left alone in this dark cave, in this earth which is compared to a dark cave, full of sadness and hopelessness. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always, irregularly. Space is filled with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whispered to us they existed. They existed, we can be and be better, for they existed. Here the poet adds that when a great soul dies, after a gap, one experiences peace. It's a slow and gradual process. There is a kind of electric vibration which surrounds us and keeps us cool and quiet. The senses start working again, but they are not the same as before. The impact of the loss changes them. There is an inner talk, conversation, which inspires us that the great men existed in the past, and likewise, even we can become great if we follow their footsteps. It motivates us to be better and great like those great souls which once existed in our lives. Now, let us come to the figures of speech. These are the technical qualities of the poem or the style of the poem. We need to know about it as a part of our studies. Figures of speech, we are getting the first one as the extended metaphor. When an indirect comparison, not the direct straight cut comparison, if it is an indirect comparison between the quality of two things, it is seen through the poem. Trees have been compared to men. Okay, so this we call as extended metaphor. Why metaphor? It's a hidden simile. The word like or as is not present in the poem. The next is enjambment. When the same sentence continues to the next line without the use of punctuation mark at the end of the line. So here we have such examples in the poem. Alliteration, the repetition of the consonant sound at the start of two or more consecutive words. This is again another figures of speech. Breathe briefly. The word B is a consonant repeated in the two consecutive words in the beginning. Much maddened. M is repeated in the two consecutive words in the beginning of the words. These two letters are repeated. Repetition, the repeated use of a sentence or a word to put much more emphasis on that particular fact. When great trees fall, when great souls die, they existed B and B. I hope you will all like this poem. Definitely it has got a deep inner meaning apart from the literal meaning. So I wish that you will listen to the explanation time and again. And if you have any doubts, please do inform me. Okay? And in the near future, again we will come across with another poem or short stories or the drama for explanations. Thank you very much. See you again in the near future.